Hey everybody, it's the Red Banana 7 here, back with another Minecraft video. And today I have for you guys a little bit of command block magic that distorts time a little bit-ish stuff. Yep. Anyway, the story here, I saw a game the other day, and ignore that, he's fine. I saw a game the other day that the goal of the game was to beat each level by walking around at different speeds, because the faster you walked, the faster time passed. So, if I go into survival here, this zombie dude is going to start trying to chase me around. Well, normally he would, but right now I'm not actually moving, so time's not moving. So if I creep around a little bit, he's going to start to be able to follow me kind of slowly because time's moving a little bit slower. If I walk at a normal pace, he'll be able to follow me at kind of a normal speed. And if I get far enough away that I can do this, sprint at him a little bit, he's going to get really fast. But again, if I stop, time stops, he's done. So swapping around the movement speed on mobs is cool and all, but it's not really all that complicated. It's just a little bit of potion effects. Now, what is cool is that, again, time stopped right now because I'm not moving. So if I try to fire an arrow, the arrow is stopped. And if I creep around a little bit, the arrow is going to creep forward, get to the skeleton, and go, peep. That was a terrible sound effect. Ignore that. I don't even know what I made, but apparently arrows make that sound, so don't question it. Anyway, and I can walk at a normal pace. The arrow's going to catch up and go to normal speed, hit the skeleton, kill it off. And again, with sprinting speeds up time, so if I get an arrow here and go really, really fast, well, apparently it missed, but anyway, normally it just goes really, really fast on down there. So say goodbye to the arrow, because it's not coming back. But again, if I go slow, you get this cool slow motion effect of this arrow creeping forward until it hits the skeleton. And it does half the skeleton's health every time it hits it. So if all you wanted to see was just what was going on, then, you know, peace out now, and I'll see you guys next time. But if you want to know how I did this, it'd be a good time to stick around, because I'm going to go over that in a second. So how did I do it? Well, first and foremost, you got to keep track of player speed, which I have a scoreboard objective over on the right for. What that's doing is tracking how many centimeters the player has walked. That's all that's doing. It's resetting itself to 0 because of these two command blocks on this which fill with stone and then redstone up here to set a timer going. And then at the end of here, it sets my speed back to 0 so I can get a reading of kinda how fast I'm going, because it's how many centimeters I've traveled in half a second or so. And then based on that, and you may have seen this earlier when I was in game mode 2 for survival, I'm getting an XP level based on how fast I'm going. So 1 is not moving, 2 is shifting, 3 is walking, and then if I sprint, I should hit 4. Now, that's important because I can't just straight up test... Whoa, adventure mode. Let's go to creative. I don't remember what number that is. Anyway, I can't just straight up test for my movement speed, because if I test for a 0, I'm pretty much always going to have a 0, and it only pulse everything else once. But if every time I hit 0, I give myself a level of experience, and then every time I test for that experience, I clear it off, which is what's going on over here. This is testing for a player with 1 level of experience, and then it'll clear it off. Then I get this repeated pulse of my active standing still-ish. Anyway, so each one of these guys gives me an extra level of experience for hitting a milestone on that speed counter. And that is the difference between stop, shifting, walking, and sprinting. So each one of these guys is testing for one of those levels, and whatever level I'm at is what level hits, is how fast I'm moving. So again, stop, shifting, walking, and sprinting. Now after that, it's going to take away those levels so it resets the counter and I don't just go up infinite levels, because that would be kind of pointless. And does that, moves on, and then does these two commands. This one is going to clear any effects from all the mobs in the area, so it cancels out all the effects from the other ones, and then it adds its own effect after that on the same tick, but the first one's closer to the signal or whatever, so it executes first. So it's going to give any mob within a certain range of the player, range equals 50, and of the player, because I'm executing from the player, it will give them slowness 7, which means that the mob won't be able to move because I am stopped. So that's how the mobs not moving thing works. Now, and it gives the effect to every entity, so what I'm doing over here is just clearing the effect from players. Every tick. So I basically am constantly getting an effect, and you can see it occasionally pop up over here, but I never actually get affected by it because it's constantly getting cleared. Of course, it wouldn't pop up on camera. Anyway, though, as far as this guy goes with my little arrow trick here, this is a little bit more complicated, which is what all of this is for. And half of this isn't filled in because it would be the same thing. What each one of these is a direction that the player is facing. So if I'm facing north, it's going to spawn an arrow that's pointing north, and keep it stop, and keep it going. This just kills arrows, by the way. And again, if I'm facing south, it'll spawn an arrow facing south. So how is that working? Well, each one of these command blocks here is testing for a rotation of a player, and those are some wonky numbers, and I don't want to get into that. But if it finds the right rotation to be facing north, it's going to set off these command blocks, which sets off this timer over here. These guys test for level. When a certain level is reached, it will... Oh, they also... Some of these guys test for level. This guy, which... Long command there, that's what summons the armor stand, which is actually holding an arrow, because obviously that's not a real arrow. So the command over here that got rid of the arrows, just kill armor stands. And I'm not using an actual arrow because for some reason when you try to teleport arrows around, they sum up all of the teleports that you've given. They sum up every teleport command that it receives in 1 second and then evaluates it after a second. So if you tell it to move 1/10 of a second, 20 times a second, which is what each tick is a 20th of a second, it'll move 2 blocks at the end of a second. So it just looks real choppy and it doesn't really work. Whereas these guys just kind of move a little bit at a time. And he keeps going. Anyway, so that's that. It'll spawn the thing based on which direction you're facing, which is why I have 2 different spawn blocks, because each one has to spawn an arrow in a different direction. And then these guys teleport the arrow in relation to itself, so I'm executing on me again to get the range around the arrow, and then I'll teleport it a certain number of blocks per tick. And that's how it moves like that. Now, to do damage, because that is an armor stand, if I go into game mode 3 here, you can see that there's an invisible armor stand just kind of holding an arrow. So to do damage, because that's actually not going to do anything if it just hits it, I have these guys up here. What these guys do is test for certain types of mobs, because if you just test for an entity, it finds itself and tries to hurt itself. So you have to test for certain types of mobs, but you can just add extra mobs in here, a command block for each different one. So what it is an execute command that's executing on an armor stand, which is testing for a certain mob in a range of 2 of that armor stand. If it finds something, it's going to evaluate all 3 of these guys. One of these is going to execute on the armor stand to execute on the mob that's within 2 of the armor stand to summon another armor stand that it just kind of keeps track of where everything is. then this gives an effect based on that second armor stand to the spider, and then this one kills them all. So what you end up with is an arrow that flies forward when you move a little bit, gets to a mob, hits it, kills itself, and kills the mob. And to do damage to the mob exactly, it's just adding... Whoop, which one are you? There it is. It's adding a potion effect of instant damage, or in the case of the zombies and skeletons, instant health. So the number for health is 6, and the number for damage is 7. So yeah, that's about it. I had these, which would have been like north and west, but it's really repetitive, and for the sake of time, I just wanted to do 2 directions just so I could show it. But, you know, you could do that yourself if you wanted to. Anyway, that's about it. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. If you learned something, same thing. And thanks for watching. I will see you guys next time.